So today we're on a mission to create the simplest possible check-in, check-out system just by using Noloco on its own. No automation whatsoever, no make, no Zapier, no nothing. Let's see what we can do. All right, so here we go. We've got our desktop over here and we've got our dashboard as well. So we've got our actions that we've taken out today. We can see that we've checked out 2 devices. We also can see the staff who has equipment right now, and I can check those back in if I want to. So let's say I want to check this one in. Dick has got this one and I can check it out. Now, I also have my list of items over here, and if a staff member wants to actually take one, we can actually press checkout, staff, Tom, quantity 1, and confirm. And as soon as that happens, the item itself will be in a state of currently checked out. And if I check my home, there it is. I can see who has it and what device. If I want to check one of them in, like I said previously, check in, choose Tom, confirm, and that item will now disappear from our list. And if we check that item out again, its current state should be, come on, update, checked in. There we go. So yeah, now let's take a look at how we've set up the database. And by the way, we're using Airtable for this project, but of course you can use any other supported database for Noloco. Let's take a look. Now, before we go any further, I would like to say that we appreciate absolutely every single person who watches this channel, and we're trying to reach a goal of 3,000 subscribers by the end of this year, 2024, December 31st, 2024. Now, I know what you're thinking, this is kind of like a lame target, but we're a small channel. So let's up the ante. If we get 10,000 subscribers by that date, I will say bye-bye to my most precious possession, my beard. So yes, sometimes we have to kill our darlings for the greater good. Although I know I am going to severely regret this. Anyway, back to the video. All right, so here's our database. As you can see, I only have basically 4 tables. And again, to be fair, we're only using like 3 of them. The tables are items, staff members, ledger, and stock transfers. Now, stock transfers we're not really using for this particular project, but the idea for stock transfer is generally that you could transfer items from one person to the other without checking them in, that sort of thing. Now, essentially, let's begin with items. So items, this is where we store our items. Very straightforward. My name is set up to be dynamic, brand, and model via concatenate. We also have the item ID, which is just a basic record ID trimming, so to speak. We have our brand, model, we have our link to the ledger, and this is super important. So yeah, just make sure that there's the ability to link to the ledger, and we're gonna discuss how the whole thing works. Then we have staff member to pre-fill in for check-in. We have quite a few of these helper fields, so it's quite important for you to follow along with the model that I've created. Yeah, so staff member to pre-fill for check-in essentially looks up ledger, the field staff, where the field is latest contains latest, and the next status from item contains this little emoji, so to speak. Then we have our text staff member to pre-fill. Essentially, we're taking this linked lookup field and we're just creating a text out of it. Simple, because we need to use it later on for Noloco. Then we have staff member record ID to pre-fill in for check-in. Kind of similar. We have the ledger, the NLC staff ID only include records where it is the latest and the next status contains the backward arrow that we saw earlier. Then we have the staff member rec ID to pre-fill, and then again, this is just a pure concatenated field. Kinda, you know, we're basically taking lookups and we're cleaning them out. We then have the direction from ledger, and again, this is just a lookup from the ledger. The field is direction, and where the latest field is latest field contains latest. Then we have the latest status, again, just basically cleaning out that direction lookup. The next status is a formula and is the basic if. So it's structured like this. If the latest status is checked in, then print checked out. If the latest status is checked out, print check in. By default, print check out, because sometimes you might not have the next status, right? So From there, we also have last movement. And again, this is just the max values of the created on field from the ledger. Simple as that. And some images, of course, of the items. And that's just a basic attachment field. Staff members. So staff members, again, this is just where we store our staff member list, Tom, Dick, and Harry. We have our record ID for them. We have our link to the ledger. The items that they're currently holding, which is important. We have the ledger, item, direction is checked out, and is latest. From there, we have our stock transfers link and the other stock transfers link. From there, let's take a look at the ledger. Again, quite straightforward stuff here. Our name is comprised of just a simple concat. Then we have our link to our item. We are looking up our item ID. We are then creating a link to our staff member. We're looking up the name, the next status from the item itself. We have our last movement from the item being looked up here. We have our is latest field, which is quite important. I don't know if you've noticed there was a lot of referencing to this particular field. So yeah, basic if. We have a last movement equals created on. If those two fields are the same, we print latest. Otherwise, we print nothing. And then we have a simple text field called staff item ID, a simple text field called NLC staff ID, and we have the direction, some notes, and a very basic created on field that includes the time as well. That's it in terms of the database. Now let's go ahead into Noloco and see how to set this whole thing up so that it basically works in a very nice magical way. Okay, so here we go. We have Noloco right in front of us. And technically there's really two main workflows. Coincidentally, or not so coincidentally, we also have two buttons to our check in and check out. Right now this item has been checked out, so we have to check it in. But let's check out the checkout button first, which is this one over here. And I want to show you how this button works because it's kind of simpler compared to the check in button. So let's dive in. We've got the checkout button over here. Let's see how that works. So essentially this button, and we're going to talk about the visibility filters in a sec, but the way to set this up is that we have this button text, warning, model title, checkout for, and then name of the item where we are located right now. And this should create a brand new record. So first and foremost, who is taking this? So we have to determine the staff member. Again, very default settings here, nothing really to go crazy about. Then we have the extra info, and this is where some of the fun begins. So NLC staff ID, we essentially print ID from the staff member that we just filled in at the top of the form. The next field is direction. Again, this one is a hidden value and it's pre-filled to checkout. Very simple. Quantity, technically we should default this to 1 and that's fine, but you could play with quantities, that's up to you. So from there we have notes, again just a simple field, nothing to go crazy about, and attachments, again very, very, very straightforward. Now let's take a look at the check-in button. This one comes in two flavors. So the first flavor is when we are checking something in from the page of the item. There is a bit of a difference here. Essentially what we're dealing with is a check-in button that kind of does the reverse of the checkout, but the beauty of it is that if we take a look at one of the items that has been checked out and we want to check it in, right now I've given this item to Dick. Check in. You see how nice this works where it pre-fills Dick in? How cool is that? Let's see how that works. So I'm going to go into edit mode and we're going to dive into this particular button. So check in, success, great. Again, it creates a new item in the ledger. So the direction, as you may have guessed, is hidden. It's pre-filled to checked in. Right? We don't need to ask the user what they want to do. Now, staff, this is where things get interesting. So edit, and as you can see, the default value is the form values staff item ID. So form values and then staff item ID. That's what you need to fill in there. And that will magically fill in the staff member who currently has got the item. From there, we have quantity. Again, could be, it defaults to 1. Notes, attachments, all very vanilla. Now, let's take a look at the opposite end, the other version, the other flavor of the checkout button, which you can find over here in the staff equipment in the dashboard. So let's say you're looking at your dashboard and somebody brings you this item that they want to return back to you. All you have to do is just press check in. And you see here, I'm not pre-filling, I'm allowing you to select it. Now, it's also required. So technically, you could see this as a feature, as a preventative feature. You need to select the person, but in all honesty, it's a bit of a bug with Noloco. I wasn't able to pre-fill the staff member who currently has it from this screen. So yeah, it's not a bug, it's a feature. So yeah, dig, quantity 1, notes, attachments, all very, very standard. Let's take a look at that button. So the way that I've set it up is very similar to the other setup. The only difference is in the staff member. So form values, staff record ID. You see, I'm trying to give it the default value, but this default thing doesn't really do anything. So instead, I'm actually using an options filter. So items currently holding is one of the row values. So items currently holding, that essentially what you see here, they are fields that you can find in the staff table. So items currently holding, basically this field is what I'm referring to here, is one of row values, well, the item, which gets pre-filled because you are here and you're pressing on the checkout for that particular row. A very straightforward filter, works like a charm. Everything else is basically the same in terms of the fields, quantity, all of that. The staff item ID, I'm also pre-filling the staff member rec ID to pre-fill as a hidden value because we kind of need it. Now, in terms of visibility, as I promised, let's jump in and see what the visibility rules are like for these two buttons. The visibility filter is essentially items, latest status is equal to checkout, then show me the check-in. If I go to checkout and check out the visibility filters there, we've got next status is equal to checked out. It's a play on what the latest status is essentially. So yeah, that's it. That's how you set the whole thing up. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to also be in Paris in about a month's time for the Nocode Summit. If anyone of you is going to attend that event, please do approach me. I'm going to be there for both days. So yeah, would love to see you there. Comment, like, and subscribe. Love you. Bye.